Let's draw a train, got a favorite railroad, got a favorite locomotive, just let me know. Let's draw a train, get your pencils and pens. Let's draw a train, it's time to begin. So a couple more details that we can just add as we extended the locomotive back is just add a few more rivets right here in this roof hatch and extend this grill back ever so slightly. If nothing else, we're just kind of lining up where we'd put the IC. There's really not too much to that. It's just, and then there's actually a batten strip right here, which is a riveted. But that actually gives it the tiniest bit more shape, where when we extended it back, it was kind of, now it actually has the tiniest bit more where and so now let's start painting this engine. And as I've told you in several of these before, this engine's silver and it's orange and it's got a little bit of a black roof. So the first thing I'll tell you, as I said, as I've told you before, my first thing to do would be to paint the silver. And silver, what you basically do with silver is you just sort of start painting it, and there's no real trimming to it or anything. You just there's silver in the top, and you basically, with silver, the main thing you do, it's that exact same process I've told you before, is you paint along the edge as much or more with any of these colors, because through the years I've never really found a great way to trim silver, in the sense of all you really can do, and this is called Cool Gray 20, and what it is, many times I've painted even with a color called Cool Gray 10 that's a little lighter, but as time's gone on, one, my pens dry out, and two, as I make magnets and stuff of my drawings, a lot of times the Cool Gray 10 can be a little bit on the light side. If you're just making a drawing just to have, Cool Gray 10 might be the color that you might want for Western Pacific Gray, but Cool Gray 20 is something that over time holds up a little bit more. Either color is probably fine, but also just if you can find just sort of lighter gray pens, anything in a general light gray with a brush. And the thing to remember, the Western Pacific engine does not have a nose, the second headlight. Why we put this on here is this is just a grab iron. That's the kind of thing, to tell you the truth, that's the kind of thing that, like, as you get going, a lot of times I'll make little notes to myself like, grab iron. Literally, I do this, grab iron, because what will happen is, as you get drawing, like here, as you start to trim, let's start trimming the orange as we've done in lots of things. Oh, right here, one thing we should quickly do is there was that kick plate I told you about. I almost didn't do it. Half of what you're gonna see as I draw, and also these step posts are gray. What actually makes drawing really fun and this little light is gray. Half of what you're going to see that's actually really fun is, and actually the whole rooftop here is gray. Back to right here. This starts to be black right there. But half of what you're going to see that's actually really fun is that as you get excited and as you're painting, you really get into a zone, as they like to say, as you're doing it. But then that's why, as I said, it's almost important to make little notes like that to yourself that you can erase off. Do not write it too hard. Just ever so lightly write it. Because as we trim, you can kind of hear it as I'm saying to you. What happens is that you'll get so into the zone of especially painting, drawing. It happens in the pencil lines too. Like what happens in the pencil lines is you'll start drawing grills onto the side of an engine or something, and then all of a sudden you'll put another grill, you'll start to do the grills the way you remembered, and they'll be like, whoa, this train doesn't have the same grills. But as you can kind of hear me telling you, a lot of F units have two headlights, and as you get into the zone of drawing, you see that and you're like, oh, is that the second headlight? And it's like, no, it's just a grab iron. And so this is the pale vermilion. This is the same color we used with Illinois Central. And again, it's the painting along the edge, and then the flipping. And sometimes with these pins, it's nice to have something like a fan blowing or something. And here we'll put a second coat. But see very quickly, the bulk of what we were teaching here was how this paint layout was. And the writing Western Pacific was because, as I've said, it's actually far, far more important. Here, let's get the window post. It's far, one of the things that, as I've said several times, especially on these F units and even the more stylized GP9s and stuff, literally a skill that I would say is far, far more important than, it's very important. I'm not going to argue. It's very, very important to know how to do the lettering itself. That is something that we constantly will practice here and there. But the thing I will totally tell you is that what we just practiced in this was seeing that, actually here, like see, I just saw it right now, is that the orange actually goes all the way down to this stripe as I'm telling you about this. See, practicing my own practice. But something that will take me a very considerable amount of time at times is when I've just spent a couple hours drawing a train, and then I look at the train and there's sort of this feeling of, where does all this lettering go? And it's looking at a blank canvas. That's what they'll always sort of say. And in that kind of looking at a blank, let's do this I and C since we put it here. And as I've said on several of these drawings, I said it on, interestingly, on Illinois Central, as we do on IC. When you do letters like this, I would really not I would not fill it in with the black pen. I would just do that with thick, nice ballpoint, because if you start filling it in with this, it'll get too thick, too fast. And then the 913, as I said, you almost have to just kind of let them be ghost letters. You kind of just have to trust that it's there. And then here's the black on the roof. And the black paint of all colors really only takes about 2 coats. And then actually here, especially since you're finishing up your drawing, you can be a little tired, yet these stripes need to be nice and straight. And here. And then a lot of times, little things like these little cab, you can forget to do that. You'll go back like an hour later and go, whoa, I forgot to put the control stand in the seat. And there we have it, the F Unit 913 from the California State Railroad Museum. So thanks for drawing with me, and I'll definitely plan to do more drawings in the future. So thanks a lot.